Alright, so I've just finished my Skype lesson with my online tutor. Now I'm in the chat box, and these are all of the new lovely words and phrases that came up during our conversation that I needed to communicate. So, how can I make sure that I remember these words and phrases? I like to use an app called Memrise that helps me to turn these words and phrases into a game so I can quiz myself. Let's have a look now. So refuse, this is one of the words that came up, which is this one, I think.
拒绝
And then calm down, which was another word I learnt.
冷静下来
And formal, which is this one,
正式
I think. So how did I make this game? Let's have a look now. So to make this game with my new words and phrases, I'm going to come to dex.memrise.com and I'm going to sign in, log up. You'll have to create an account if this is new. And then I'm going to click on create a course. And here, let's write Katie's Chinese words. And I'm teaching myself Chinese. Let's see if we can find this. Here we go. And it's for English speakers, that's right. And you can write, if you want, you can do some tags and some descriptions. These are a little bit more for if you're creating public courses that you want to share with people. That's not so important for us at the moment. So create course. And here we've got this platform to make the cards. So here you can put the Chinese word and here you can put the English word. So I'm going to come back to the chat from my Skype lesson and have a look at some of the words that we learnt or that I learnt during the lesson that I'd like to put into the game that I can test myself on and help me remember. So let's see, for example, so I've got this word 拒绝, which I know, this means to refuse. I've heard it a few times and it just won't go in. So let's take this. I can just copy and paste it, Control and C. And then put the Chinese in here, so Control and V. And here we've actually got, you can see that there's a database from other people that have created courses, which is really useful because I can just click on this. And then this automatically fills in the rest. So I've got the English to refuse, then I've got the pinyin here, and then I've got the audio. So let's have a look and do this with a few more. Coming back to the chat. I've got this word calm down as well. That's a useful one. So, and it was new for me. Oh, great. And so we can see we've got, again, somebody else has already made a file with this. So it already has,
冷静下来
it already has the pronunciation and everything. So that's brilliant. So you can see I've magically done this with a couple more. Sometimes the word that you're looking for won't be in the database. So that's fine. We can just fill this in ourselves. So here I've got the word context. Because I'm learning Chinese, we have this column pinyin, which gives you the pronunciation, because in Chinese, just from the symbols, you can't tell what the word actually sounds like. But if you're learning like Spanish or Italian or something, you won't need to worry about that, so you won't have this column. And then here, let me just fill in the pinyin for this then. So luckily my teacher wrote it for me, so I can just copy and paste. And here, because it's not in the database, I won't have an audio file, but I could possibly give my teacher my login details and ask them to record the audio at the end of the lesson. So let's press save and continue. And then what happens next? Let's click on learn.
拒绝
And this takes me to a screen that shows me the words and the definitions that I'm learning.
冷静下来
And now we get to play the game. So which one is refuse? Can you remember? It's this one, I think.
拒绝，
冷静下来，
正式，
Great, and there we have it. That is our game. That said, just learning isolated words like this is not always the most useful way to do it, because sometimes you don't know how to use these words in sentences. So one thing that I like to do, let's just leave that for now and go back to our course. One thing I like to do in my lessons is, instead of just having the English, so you get quizzed with the English column, as we saw, it will say to refuse, and then you have to choose the right Chinese symbol. But instead of doing it that way, I like to actually quiz myself by showing myself a sentence in the language with a gap missing, so that then I can fill in the sentence. And this is really good because it gets your brain thinking in sentences and phrases rather than in isolated words, which will help you to use them in conversation more easily. So let's do this now. When I'm doing my lessons, I really like to ask the teacher to put the new words in an example sentence. So let's see, for example, we've got here, I also learnt the word 部分, which means part, and I asked the teacher to put it into a sentence. So here we've got, you can find a part that you like. So I'm going to copy this whole sentence and put it over. And what I actually want to do, this can be a little bit confusing because in this column we've got English. So let's change this and let's write test, because this is the column that will be like the test question. So I'm going to put the whole sentence in here, and I'm going to remove the word that I want to quiz myself on. So now, as a question in the game, it will show me this. It will show me the sentence with the word missing. And then what I can do is I will select this word, which is the right answer. So let's click enter. I'm also going to put the pinyin in. And then click save and continue. Let's click on learn. And here you can see that now, instead of it just giving me the English word and me needing to provide the Chinese translation, the question is actually the Chinese sentence. So I have to read the sentence and then think about how I can complete this with the Chinese word for part. So let's do, I think I've actually forgotten the Chinese word for part now. Is it that one? I think it's the other way around. Yes, right. So I got them the wrong way around, but this is great because actually that will help me to remember better next time. And this is, I think, a nice way to make your flashcards because it really, really gets you thinking in sentences rather than just in isolated words, which, as I mentioned before, will really help you to start to memorize whole phrases so that you can sound more natural when you speak. But either way, whether you use Memrise just with the words like we did at the beginning or with the sentences like this, or with a mixture of both like I do, this is really going to help you to remember what you learn in your lessons. And the best thing about Memrise as well is that it's also an app. So instead of going on Facebook, maybe when you're at the queue in the supermarket or if you're waiting for the bus to come, instead of going on Facebook, you can go on Memrise instead, and you can make lots of progress in the language you're learning and make the most of your dead time in that way. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please subscribe to Joy of Languages. And this video is part of a bigger blog post on how to make the most out of your online language lessons. So if you're interested in seeing that, then you can go down to the link in the notes, and that will take you to the blog post.